Welcome to WebLizard Lab's CERT Lab. This is SC-500 practice questions, Microsoft Sentinel, data and automation. You will work through 29 questions covering Sentinel workspace design, data connectors, log pipelines, detections, retention, incident response, and automation. Listen for the data boundary, supported connector, rule behavior, retention scope, and automation trigger that decides each answer. You will hear each complete scenario and every answer choice. Multi-select questions state how many answers to select. Matching and build list questions keep the full scenario, requirements, targets, and actions visible together. After the cue, lock in your answer. You will have 3 seconds before the answer appears. Pause whenever you want additional thinking time. Question 1. Contoso will onboard Microsoft Sentinel in 2 environments. East already has a suitable log analytics workspace. West has no log analytics workspace. Which onboarding design follows the documented workspace branches? Choice A. Create a new workspace for East and create a new workspace for West. Choice B. Use East's workspace and add Sentinel to West without any workspace. Choice C. Use East's workspace and create a workspace for West before adding Sentinel. Choice D. Replace East's workspace and add Sentinel to West at subscription scope. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is C. Use East's workspace and create a workspace for West before adding Sentinel. Microsoft Sentinel must be added to a log analytics workspace. An existing suitable workspace can be used directly, so East does not need a replacement. Because West has no workspace, one must be created there before Sentinel is added. Question 2. A Tier 1 analyst must view Microsoft Sentinel data and manage incidents. The analyst must not install solutions or create and edit Sentinel resources. Which role should be assigned? Choice A. Microsoft Sentinel Reader. Choice B. Microsoft Sentinel Playbook Operator. Choice C. Microsoft Sentinel Responder. Choice D. Microsoft Sentinel Contributor. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is C. Microsoft Sentinel Responder. Microsoft Sentinel Responder includes all reader permissions and adds incident management. It meets both required activities without selecting the contributor increment for solution and resource lifecycle operations. Question 3. A security operations team wants to install several Microsoft Sentinel solutions and standalone content from Content Hub in one bulk operation. Which view should the team use? Choice A, List View. Choice B, Default Card View. Choice C, either view, because bulk installation is view independent. Choice D, default card view with the updates filter applied. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is A, list view. Use list view. The bound Microsoft Learn excerpt explicitly directs users to select list view to install multiple solutions and standalone content all at once. Question 4. A security operations team needs a Microsoft Sentinel connector for a workbook that reports control plane changes across an Azure subscription. The required records include Azure Resource Manager write operations and the status of Azure activities. Which connector has the required scope? Choice A. Use a guest operating system event connector because local host events are the subscription control plane record. Choice B. Use a resource diagnostics connector because a single resource's application telemetry represents all subscription operations. Choice C. Use the Azure Activity connector because its subscription log includes subscription-level events and Azure Resource Manager operational data. Choice D. Use an Identity Sign-In connector because tenant authentication events are the source of Azure Resource Manager write operations. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is C. Use the Azure Activity Connector because its subscription log includes subscription-level events and Azure Resource Manager operational data. The Azure Activity Connector is the documented fit. Azure Activity Log is a subscription log for subscription-level Azure events, including Azure Resource Manager operational data, write operations, and activity status. That scope matches the workbook's required control plane records. Question 5. A group of network security appliances sends events in Common Event Format, CEF. You need the events parsed as CEF and stored in the Common Security Log table by using a current Microsoft Sentinel collection configuration. Which configuration should you use? Choice A. Open the syslog via AMA connector and create its data collection rule. Choice B. Use the legacy CEF path that depends on the log analytics agent. Choice C. Install Azure Monitor Agent directly, but do not create a connector data collection rule. Choice D. Open the Common Event Format, CEF, via AMA connector and create its data collection rule. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is D. Open the Common Event Format, CEF, via AMA connector and create its data collection rule. For CEF, current setup guidance directs administrators to open the Common Event Format, CEF, via AMA connector and create its data collection rule. CEF logs sent to the workspace end up in Common Security Log, so D meets both the required connector path and destination. Question 6. A team must collect only security log events with event IDs 4624 and 4625 from an Azure VM by using Azure Monitor Agent. Which DCR configuration should the team use? Choice A. Add a Windows Events data source, select Custom, and enter XPath queries for the two security event IDs. Choice B. Add a DCRA, then store the two security log XPath queries on the association with the VM. Choice C. Add a Windows Events data source and select the security log severity levels that include events 4624 and 4625. Choice D. Add a Windows Events data source that reads a UNC copy of security.evtx, then filter that file for the two event IDs. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is A. Add a Windows Events data source, select Custom, and enter XPath queries for the two security event IDs. A Windows Events data source is the DCR component that collects Windows event logs. Selecting Custom allows XPath queries such as security log event ID filters to specify the events to collect. Question 7. A partner sends audit records with partner-specific fields that no predefined Azure table schema includes. The stored result must retain those fields, and you must filter and transform each record during ingestion. Which design should you use? Choice A. Create a custom table and use a data collection rule to collect, transform, and send the records to it. Choice B. Create a custom table for the raw partner records, ingest them first, and apply the required filtering and projection only in saved workspace queries. Choice C. Create a data collection rule that outputs the partner-specific fields and send the transformed result to the closest predefined Azure table. Choice D. Create a custom table from a sample record and use a data collection rule only for delivery, relying on the table itself to filter and transform records as they arrive. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is A. Create a custom table and use a data collection rule to collect, transform, and send the records to it. Azure tables have predefined schemas. For log data with a different schema, the documented design uses a DCR to collect, transform, and send the data to a custom table in the log analytics workspace. Therefore, A is correct. Question 8. A security operations team expects scheduled maintenance this weekend to create many incidents that are known benign positives. The team wants Microsoft Sentinel to close each of these incidents, tag the maintenance as the cause, and stop doing so after the weekend. No external system must be called. What should the team configure? Choice A, an incident trigger playbook that performs every close and tag operation for the matching incidents. Choice B, a time-limited automation rule that closes and tags the matching incidents without a playbook. Choice C, an alert trigger playbook invoked from an incident trigger automation rule for each matching incident. Choice D, an automation rule that remains enabled indefinitely and invokes a playbook before closing each incident. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is B, a time-limited automation rule that closes and tags the matching incidents without a playbook. Microsoft Sentinel automation rules can automatically resolve incidents that are known false or benign positives without using playbooks. A time-limited rule can close the incidents and tag their cause, then become disabled after the maintenance window, which directly fits the scenario. Question 9. A privacy policy requires a Microsoft Sentinel log analytics workspace to retain data for exactly 30 days, not the possible 31 days associated with a standard 30-day retention setting. Which configuration should you use? Choice A, the data retention setting on the Log Analytics Workspace page in the Azure portal. Choice B, the AZ Monitor Log Analytics Workspace update command with the retention time parameter. Choice C, the Set AZ Operational Insights Workspace commandlet with the retention in days parameter. Choice D, the Workspaces Update API with immediate purge data on 30 days in the Workspace properties. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is D, the Workspaces Update API with immediate purge data on 30 days in the Workspace properties. A workspace with standard 30-day retention might keep data for 31 days. For retention of 30 days only, Microsoft documents setting immediate purge data on 30 days to true, and states that this operation is currently supported only through the Workspaces Update API. Question 10. An investigator starts in the Microsoft Defender portal, opens Audit, and then uses the documented Microsoft Purview portal alternative to start a long-running audit search job. The investigator closes the browser window. What should the investigator expect for that Purview portal search job? Choice A, the job is canceled when the browser window closes. Choice B, the job keeps running, and after completion, the search job remains available for 30 days. Choice C, the job pauses until the same browser window is reopened. Choice D, the job continues only if no other administrator has an unfiltered search running. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is B. The job keeps running, and after completion, the search job remains available for 30 days. B is correct. Microsoft documents Audit as a direct surface in the Defender portal and separately identifies the Purview portal alternative. For a search job started through that Purview portal, the browser can close without stopping the job, and the completed search job is kept for 30 days. The 30-day period describes the completed search job, not the underlying audit record retention. Question 11. A subscription has no log analytics workspace. Arrange the actions in the documented order for creating the workspace and adding Microsoft Sentinel before later content and connector configuration. Arrange all 4 actions in order. Choice C. Select the newly deployed workspace and select Add. Choice A. Under Subscription Resource Group, create the resource group for the workspace. Choice D. Select Create and wait until the workspace deployment is complete. Choice B. Give the workspace a name, select a region, and select Review plus Create. Lock in your answer. The correct order is Step 1, Choice A. Under Subscription, Resource Group, create the resource group for the workspace. Step 2, Choice B. Give the workspace a name, select a region, and select Review plus Create. Step 3, Choice D. Select Create and wait until the workspace deployment is complete. Step 4, Choice C. Select the newly deployed workspace and select Add. Because no Log Analytics workspace exists, create one before adding Microsoft Sentinel. The documented order is A. Create the resource group. B. Provide the workspace name and region and select Review plus Create. D. After validation, select Create and wait for deployment to finish. Then C. Select the newly deployed workspace and select Add. Question 12. An automation operator must list, view, and manually run existing Microsoft Sentinel playbooks. The operator does not need to manage incidents or create and edit Sentinel resources. Which role provides the documented playbook operation capability? Choice A, Microsoft Sentinel Playbook Operator. Choice B, Microsoft Sentinel Contributor. Choice C, Microsoft Sentinel Responder. Choice D, Microsoft Sentinel Reader. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is A, Microsoft Sentinel Playbook Operator. Microsoft Sentinel Playbook Operator is explicitly documented to list, view, and manually run playbooks. The scenario asks for that operation rather than incident management or solution/resource authoring. Question 13. An engineer installs a standalone content item from Microsoft Sentinel Content Hub. Which maintenance expectation is documented for the standalone content itself? Choice A. Content Hub keeps the standalone content up to date automatically. Choice B. The engineer must reinstall the standalone content for every update. Choice C. Automatic updates begin only after an active item is created from the content. Choice D. Content Hub first converts the standalone content into a custom copy before updating it. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is A. Content Hub keeps the standalone content up to date automatically. The documented behavior is that standalone content is kept up to date automatically. Question 14. Your company will ingest CEF events from on-premises security appliances through a dedicated Linux log forwarder that is not an Azure virtual machine. The forwarder already has Python 3 and syslog enabled, and the appliances already send their events to it. Before you create a data collection rule that targets this forwarder, which action is required? Choice A. Install the retired Log Analytics agent on the forwarder. Choice B. Change the appliances to standard syslog and select the syslog via AMA connector. Choice C. Install the Azure Arc Connected Machine agent on the forwarder. Choice D. Disable syslog so that Azure Monitor Agent can listen for CEF directly. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is C. Install the Azure Arc Connected Machine agent on the forwarder. The forwarder is not an Azure virtual machine. Microsoft requires a non-Azure log forwarder to have the Azure Arc Connected Machine agent installed. Python, syslog, and appliance routing are already present, so C supplies the missing prerequisite. Question 15. Contoso is changing how Windows security log collection is administered for Microsoft Sentinel. Several production detections and an audit workbook currently read new records from the security event table. Migration approval requires those consumers to keep their existing queries and continue receiving new records in that table. Which collection design should Contoso use? Choice A. Use the Windows security events via AMA connector. Store the collected security records in the event table. Choice B. Use a Windows event DCR that selects the security log. Store the collected records in the event table. Choice C. Use a Windows event DCR that selects the security log. Store the collected records in the security event table. Choice D. Use the Windows security events via AMA connector. Store the collected security records in the security event table. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is D. Use the Windows security events via AMA connector. Store the collected security records in the security event table. The Windows security events via AMA connector collects Windows security events with the Azure Monitor Agent and sends them to security event. That preserves the table used by the existing detections and audit workbook, so they can keep their current queries while receiving new records. You have completed 15 questions. Take a moment to reset your attention. In the remaining questions, keep separating workspace configuration from data collection, connector support from transformation logic, analytics rules from automation rules, incident actions from playbook triggers, and table retention from archive behavior. Question 16. You are reviewing proposed names for a custom log analytics table that will store device audit events. Which name follows the custom table naming requirement? Choice A, device audit. Choice B, CL_device audit. Choice C, device audit-CL. Choice D, device audit_CL. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is D, device audit_CL. D is correct. A custom log analytics table name has the _CL suffix, so device audit_CL follows the documented naming invariant. Question 17. A Microsoft Sentinel automation rule runs when an incident is created. The rule must invoke one of the team's existing playbooks. Which playbook can be added to the rule? Choice A, a playbook that uses an alert trigger. Choice B, either trigger type, because the automation rule converts the trigger at runtime. Choice C, a playbook that uses an incident trigger. Choice D, a playbook that uses a Microsoft Sentinel entity trigger. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is C, a playbook that uses an incident trigger. Playbook compatibility is determined by trigger type. Only incident trigger playbooks can run from incident trigger automation rules. Question 18. Two factory resources send Microsoft Sentinel data to the same tables. The first resource requires a shorter retention period than the second resource. Which data store design should you use to support the different resource-specific retention settings? Choice A. Create one log analytics workspace for each resource and configure each workspace with that resource's required retention period. Choice B. Create one log analytics workspace for each retention period and send data from both resources to both workspaces. Choice C. Use one log analytics workspace and assign a separate retention value to each resource's records in the shared tables. Choice D. Use one log analytics workspace and set each resource's analytics queries to its required retention time range. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is A. Create one log analytics workspace for each resource and configure each workspace with that resource's required retention period. The documented condition requires a separate workspace when different resources need different retention settings and send data to the same tables. The scenario includes all three qualifiers, so one workspace for each resource is the supported design. Question 19. A quarantined message is no longer present, and an investigator must determine which administrator deleted it. Which workflow should the investigator use? Choice A. Open message trace and filter by the recipient and deletion time. Choice B. Open advanced hunting and query email events for the message. Choice C. Open quarantine, select email, and filter for released messages. Choice D. Open audit, keep new search selected, and filter activities for deleted quarantine message. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is D. Open Audit, keep New Search selected, and filter Activities for Deleted Quarantine Message. D is correct. Microsoft documents that admins use the Audit page in the Defender portal for messages deleted from quarantine. Then use New Search and select Deleted Quarantine Message under Activities. Question 20. A security team is onboarding Microsoft Sentinel in two separately managed environments. Match each environment to its supported workspace action. Each option can be used at most once. Items to match. E1. An eligible log analytics workspace already exists. E2. No log analytics workspace exists. Available choices. Choice A. Create a log analytics workspace first and then add Microsoft Sentinel to it. Choice B. Select the existing log analytics workspace and add Microsoft Sentinel to it. Choice C. Add Microsoft Sentinel before creating or selecting a log analytics workspace. Choice D. Replace the eligible existing workspace with a new workspace before adding Microsoft Sentinel. Lock in your answer. The correct matches are: an eligible log analytics workspace already exists. Choice B. Select the existing log analytics workspace and add Microsoft Sentinel to it. No log analytics workspace exists. Choice A. Create a log analytics workspace first and then add Microsoft Sentinel to it. For E1, Microsoft directs you to select the log analytics workspace that already exists and add Microsoft Sentinel to it. For E2, when no log analytics workspace exists, Microsoft directs you to create one and then add Microsoft Sentinel to that workspace. Question 21. A security architecture includes Microsoft Sentinel, SIEM, and the Microsoft Sentinel Data Lake. Which two RBAC mappings are documented? Select two answers. Choice A. Use Microsoft Intra IDRBAC for built-in and custom Microsoft Sentinel SIEM roles. Choice B. Use Azure RBAC for built-in and custom Microsoft Sentinel SIEM roles. Choice C. Use Microsoft Intra IDRBAC for built-in and custom Microsoft Sentinel Data Lake roles. Choice D. Use Azure RBAC for built-in and custom Microsoft Sentinel Data Lake roles. Lock in your answer. The correct answers are B and C. B. Use Azure RBAC for built-in and custom Microsoft Sentinel SIEM roles. C. Use Microsoft Entra IDRBAC for built-in and custom Microsoft Sentinel Data Lake roles. Microsoft Sentinel uses Azure RBAC for built-in and custom SIEM roles, and Microsoft Entra IDRBAC for built-in and custom data lake roles. Answers B and C preserve the documented authorization plane split. Question 22. A team created an active Microsoft Sentinel content item based on a solution installed from Content Hub. The solution later receives an update. What outcome for the active item is supported by the bound documentation? Choice A. The active item remains untouched. Choice B. The active item is overwritten automatically by the updated solution content. Choice C. The active item is disabled until the solution is installed again. Choice D. The active item is converted back into an unconfigured template. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is A. The active item remains untouched. The active item remains untouched. The source explicitly preserves active or custom content created from solutions or standalone content installed from Content Hub. Question 23. 4 Linux machines are candidates to become the designated log forwarder for syslog and CEF ingestion by using Azure Monitor Agent. All non-daemon deployment work will be completed after the machine is selected. Which machine already meets the documented log forwarder daemon prerequisite? Choice A. LF1 has syslog-ng installed but disabled, and rsyslog is not installed. Choice B. LF2 has rsyslog enabled and syslog-ng is not enabled. Choice C. LF3 has syslog-ng and rsyslog installed, but both daemons are disabled. Choice D. LF4 has a different logging daemon enabled, while syslog-ng and rsyslog are disabled. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is B. LF2 has rsyslog enabled, and syslog-ng is not enabled. The Linux log forwarder must have either syslog-ng or rsyslog enabled. LF2 meets that prerequisite because rsyslog is enabled. Enabling syslog-ng as well is not required. Question 24. A Windows Events data source already exists in a DCR. The security team must collect a granular subset of Windows security events rather than the broader event set. Which configuration should the team use? Choice A. Create a separate DCRA for each required Windows security event ID. Choice B. Move the security event log to a network share and filter the share contents. Choice C. Select Custom and use XPath to specify the Windows security events to collect. Choice D. Enable collection of all WEF logs and treat the transport path as the event filter. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is C. Select Custom and use XPath to specify the Windows security events to collect. Selecting Custom and specifying the collected events with XPath is the documented mechanism for granular control over the event set in the Windows Events data source. Question 25. Team P creates a custom log analytics table named Archive Events in the Azure portal. Team Q creates the same custom table definition by using a method other than the Azure portal. Both teams need the resulting table name to be archive events _CL. Which statement correctly assigns responsibility for the _CL suffix? Choice A. Both teams should omit _CL because the data collection rule adds it during ingestion. Choice B. Both teams must add _CL explicitly before creating the table. Choice C. The Azure portal adds _CL for Team P. Team Q must add _CL explicitly. Choice D. Team P must add _CL explicitly. The non-portal method adds it for Team Q. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is C. The Azure portal adds _CL for Team P. Team Q must add _CL explicitly. Custom tables use the _CL suffix. The Azure portal appends the suffix automatically, while a different creation method requires the creator to add it. Therefore, C correctly assigns responsibility to each team. Question 26. A Microsoft Sentinel incident trigger automation rule has 3 available actions. Add the tag needs enrichment, run an incident trigger enrichment playbook that branches on that tag, and close the incident. The playbook action must see the tag, and the close action must not begin before the playbook action. How should the actions be listed in the rule? Choice A. Run the enrichment playbook, close the incident, tag the incident. Choice B. Close the incident, tag the incident, run the enrichment playbook. Choice C. List the 3 actions in any order because Microsoft Sentinel decides their runtime sequence. Choice D. Tag the incident, run the enrichment playbook, close the incident. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is D. Tag the incident, run the enrichment playbook, close the incident. Actions in a Microsoft Sentinel automation rule execute in the order in which they are listed. Listing tag, playbook, and close in that order lets the playbook see the tag and prevents closing from beginning before the playbook action. Question 27. A Microsoft Sentinel Log Analytics workspace must retain data for exactly 30 days to satisfy a privacy policy. Data must not remain recoverable into day 31. Which workspaces, update API property values should you configure? Choice A, retention in days, 31, and immediate purge data on 30 days, true. Choice B, retention in days, 30, and immediate purge data on 30 days, false. Choice C, retention in days, 30, and immediate purge data on 30 days, true. Choice D, retention in days, 31, and immediate purge data on 30 days, false. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is C, retention in days 30, and immediate purge data on 30 days, true. Workspaces with 30-day retention might keep data for 31 days. For retention of 30 days only, the documented configuration sets default workspace retention to 30 days, and immediate purge data on 30 days to true by using the workspaces-update API. Question 28. An investigator opens Audit from the Microsoft Defender portal and follows the linked Audit New Search guidance. The investigated user has a Microsoft 365 E5 license, and the team is reviewing Microsoft Entra ID, Exchange, and SharePoint activity. Which statement matches the documented audit role and default searchable retention? Choice A. A Defender XDR Unified RBAC role is sufficient, and every tenant audit record is searchable for 1 year by default. Choice B. View-only audit logs is required, and both completed search jobs and all underlying audit records are retained for 30 days. Choice C. Audit logs or view-only audit logs is required, and those activities for the E5 licensed user are retained for 1 year by default. Choice D. No audit role is required for an E5 licensed user, and every Microsoft service retains that user's activity for 1 year by default. Lock in your answer. The correct answer is C. Audit logs or view-only audit logs is required, and those activities for the E5 licensed user are retained for 1 year by default. C is correct. Microsoft documents the audit page as directly available from the Defender portal and links the audit search workflow. The audit guidance names audit logs or view-only audit logs as the search role and states that Microsoft Entra ID, Exchange, and SharePoint audit records for an E5 licensed user are retained for 1 year by default. That duration is not universal across every user, activity, or license. Question 29. An auditor must use Microsoft Sentinel to observe existing security information without managing incidents or changing Sentinel resources. Which two activities are explicitly within the Microsoft Sentinel Reader View surface? Select two answers. Choice A, manage incidents. Choice B, view incidents. Choice C, view workbooks and recommendations. Choice D, install or update solutions. Lock in your answer. The correct answers are B and C. B, view incidents. C, view workbooks and recommendations. Microsoft Sentinel Reader is documented to view data, incidents, workbooks, recommendations, and other resources. Viewing incidents and viewing workbooks/recommendations therefore fit the auditor's observation-only requirement. You have completed all 29 questions in SC-500 practice questions, Microsoft Sentinel Data and Automation. Review the distinctions you missed, especially workspace onboarding, custom tables and data collection rules, analytics and automation behavior, incident enrichment, playbooks, and retention. You have now completed all 8 focused SC-500 practice videos. Thanks for practicing with Web Lizard Labs CertLab.